Hey, it's Matt Haynes, and today I am reviewing a wireless system from Saramonic called the Blink 500B2 Plus, and yeah, that is quite a name. The Blink system fits squarely in the mid-range of wireless systems, both in terms of price and features. It goes for about $130. It has some cool features that the budget wireless systems don't have, like noise reduction and LED metering and things like that. But on the other hand, it's missing the ability to record internally, which just about all of the higher end systems can do. And there's one design flaw with this wireless microphone system that actually has me recording this a second time. This is my second attempt at recording this portion of the video. And I'll talk about why in the conclusion. I should point out that Saramonic sent me the Blink system for free, but I'm not getting paid for the review, and I'm under no obligation to review it at all or say anything nice about it. Wireless systems are at their best outdoors, in my opinion, so I've taken this out on a hike, and you get to hear how it sounds. I'm going to tell you about some of the features, and then we'll head back to the studio, and I'll tell you whether it's actually worth buying or not. And I did bring along a competitor too, just so you can compare how things sound. This wireless system comes with a charging case. In other words, the case has a battery in it, and you can charge all three units at the same time. That means you only have to plug one thing in, and that's the case. And you can get multiple charges out of it. So if you don't have access to electricity, you still have the case and you can charge up your mic system. When you remove the transmitters or receiver, they automatically turn on, which is a nice touch. You can also turn them on and off manually. And everything snaps into the case magnetically, which is good because they also have some phone adapters, and they're little tiny little adapters, and it would be easy to lose them. Having the case magnetically grab them reduces, not eliminates, reduces the chance of you losing those things. Now, I think Saramonic has come up with a good compromise with those little phone adapters, because one of my pet peeves is I rarely use a wireless system with my phone. I just don't use my phone to film. So I am using a camera. I want a 3.5 millimeter, mini jack adapter, and that needs a cable. I've seen some really bad designs in terms of trying to make that work with little snap-in connectors. But on a phone, you don't want a bunch of cables hanging off. So they've done a neat compromise where the little adapters slide into the receiver, which then just pops into your phone. So the phone and this little clip is holding the receiver there. But if you want to use it on camera, you have cables as well. So you basically have both options. The wireless system also comes with a pouch, and that's where you can put the extra cables, and comes with some dead cats. And I like the fact that the dead cats clip in rather than just slide over the end of the wireless system. That means they're going to be more secure. You also get a couple of small removable magnets that stick to the back of the clip on the transmitter. And this is if you don't want to clip it to a t-shirt, you want to have it like mid-chest or something, you just put the magnet behind the clothing and the wireless system on front, and then it's just sort of floating there. These magnets are pretty small though, so I would not have them around little children because they're also really, really powerful. You have a USB-C port on the receiver, which means that if you do have this plugged into your phone, you can actually plug in some power there and charge your phone while you're using your wireless system. I think that's pretty neat. And actually the transmitters have USB-C ports on them as well. That means you can charge them in the traditional manner. You don't have to use the case if you don't want to. The receiver also has a headphone jack on it, so you can monitor your audio in real time as it's going into your camera. And the Blink system also has a feature that it's a tiny thing, but I haven't seen it anywhere else. And if you're using your wireless system with a phone, you normally can't hear the audio back unless you unplug it. So it'll record the mic just fine, but it thinks there's headphones plugged in too, so it won't play audio over the speaker. There's actually a setting on the receiver that will allow the phone to play audio back over its own speaker. Now, one little weird thing is that the receiver unit has to reboot itself when you turn this on. I don't know why that's the case, but still, it's nice to have if you need it. Saramonic claims that there's a 150 meter range for these, if it's line of sight, unobstructed view kind of thing. I haven't tried that yet. The transmitter battery life is about 16 hours, and the receiver has about 20 hours of battery life. The Blink system comes with noise reduction, as I mentioned earlier, but unlike cheaper units, it actually has 2 levels of noise reduction, so we should try those out right now. Now, interestingly, when you turn noise reduction on, it turns it on for both transmitters. So I guess the noise reduction is being done at the receiver level. By the way, you're listening to the strong noise reduction. Now let's check out the weak noise reduction. Now you're listening to the noise reduction on the weak setting, and you should be able to hear more background noise. There's a bike coming up here. Hi. Each transmitter can be muted, and unlike the noise reduction, the mute is done per transmitter, so you can turn one off and have the other one on. And something I don't think I've seen in a whole lot of wireless systems, you actually have a high-pass filter. You can roll off the low end either at 75 hertz or 150 hertz. That would be useful for getting rid of wind noise and rumble and things like that. You can adjust the volume of each transmitter independently, but you do this on the receiver, not the transmitter. And the receiver output can be set to either stereo or mono with a safety channel. Now you're listening to the Rode Go2 wireless system, and I typically bring this one out when I'm comparing microphone sets because it's just so popular. Many people know what it sounds like, so to be able to compare this system with something that's maybe a little less well known, I think is helpful. Now, this system is quite a bit more expensive than the Blink system. It goes for about $300. It does have internal recording on each transmitter, which is a definite plus. It doesn't have noise reduction though. So also the Rode system is, it's a couple years old by now, so technology has kind of advanced a little bit beyond the Go2 system. Anyway, this is what it sounds like. I think it's time we went back to the studio now and gave everything a listen. All right, I'm back in the studio and I've got the Blink 500 back on me. Now, wireless mics such as the Blink system are usually omnidirectional. So you might notice some room reflections, you might notice the sound quality has changed a little bit. That's normal. So I do have some issues with these microphones and I need to talk about those issues for a little bit, and then I'm going to tell you the most important thing of all: should you buy them? I mentioned that I actually had to record the first part of this video a second time, and that's because of the way Saramonic has designed the menu system on these mics. Now, I love that they've got all these features like a high pass filter and 2 levels of noise reduction, etc., etc. However, I think they're trying to do too much with not enough buttons. What I mean is navigating the menu system on the receiver unit is so unintuitive that I actually forgot how to access the different settings. I got halfway through recording the hiking portion, halfway up a hill actually, and literally could not figure out how to change the noise reduction level. I had to give up and go back. To access this menu, you have to, let's see if I can remember this, you have to hit the M button twice, and that puts you into the menu, and then you can use the power and the M button to go back and forth with all the options, and then you have to hold the M button down for 2 seconds. I'm not even sure if I've remembered it even now. So it's not the best system, and I think there's probably a better way to organize the whole menu operation, even just using 2 buttons. But it'd be nice if maybe there was another button. But anyway, the way Saramonic has it set up, it's challenging. Now, you will eventually figure it out and then it won't be a big deal. And if it's the only wireless mic system you're using, then that crazy sequence of button pushes will eventually become second nature. But maybe just bring the little user guide with you the first couple of times so you don't end up at the same situation I did. One thing that isn't clear on the receiver screen is that the headphone level can also be adjusted, not just the transmitter levels. There's a little symbol with an arrow coming out of a box, and that's the headphone level, so that's nice. And I do appreciate being able to adjust all those levels independently, especially the transmitters. Many of the cheaper systems only allow an overall level adjustment, and that could be a real problem if you're mixing both signals from both transmitters together. I found that when I record my son Finn, he is always at least 6 dB louder than I am, but thankfully I can adjust that and balance it out on the Blink system. Now, while you can adjust the individual transmitter levels and the headphone level from the main screen, that's not true for the receiver level. You know, the level that you're sending from the receiver to your camera or your phone. For that, you have to dive into the menu system. So I wish that was like a main screen function. Although, as I think about it, perhaps that's something you would set once and then you just wouldn't mess with, so maybe that's not a big deal. Okay, so I've got one last, okay, it's not a complaint, it's more of a question. Now, I don't shoot with my phone much, so this isn't really a problem for me personally, but I'm not sure how stable it would be to have the receiver hanging off the end of the phone using these little adapters here. I mean, if you're careful, it's gonna work just fine, but if you're a little rough on your phone, I think it would be easy to knock the receiver loose accidentally. Okay, so should you buy these? Well, I like the sound quality. There's more low end than the Rode system, and it's nice that I can dial in some high pass filtering if I really need it. And also, these mics have some features that more expensive mics don't have, like, you know, that high pass filter, but also the 2-level noise reduction, headphone jack. So If you don't need internal recording and these happen to be in your price range, then yes,